Hey, welcome back. In this video, we're going to work on the ship plundering part of our little pirate adventure. But first, before I fill out this side of the branch, I'm going to flesh out this little option I have here for a player letting the crew decide what to do. So, to create that, I just deleted the link from this link to go to one of these two passages. I had it create its own passage here. So it's going to its own thing. And here, yes, ooh, scary, you got a bit of code up here, but don't worry, it's pretty simple. We're just setting the variable that begins with a $begin action to a random value between 1 and 2. It's like a dice roll. It can either land on 1 or 2. It's like flipping a coin, basically. And then I have it say, ooh, tough to say, Captain. I was considering the idea of, and then if begin action is 1, I have displayed this link here, plundering some ships, and that'll take you to the plunder some ships option. But if the begin action is 2, I'll have it display look for bounties, catching a scallywag. Now, if it flips 1 or 2, it will not display the other one. So if begin action is 1, begin action is not 2, so it's not going to display this, and vice versa. So you're only going to see one option. So the crew is going to suggest the same two things again that we have. That would be silly. But we'll have display that. So I'm going to demonstrate that here. I don't know. What do you think? Click here. Ooh, tough to say, Captain. I was considering the idea of plundering some ships. That directs you to the plunder passage. There. We need to fill this up a little bit. And you can press this back button to see if you can retry it. And yep, if you loaded the same thing and it's catching a scallywag and you take that, it's like, glorious idea. You can lead the crew to the side of a tavern and observe the board of bounties. So, very, very simple. It's very cool. You can display stuff randomly now in your Twine stories. And it doesn't have to be links. You can also randomly display something else like text as long as it's in the passages. So this is a link square bracket, but I could shorten that to that and it would display plundering some ships, arrow plunder some ships. It's a little silly, but that's specifically to be a link to another passage. But that's very neat. I like having little Easter eggs pop up like that randomly in my stories. Alright, so now I'm going to fill out this plundering ship path. I'll be back with you in a second. Alright, so this is a pretty big update to the story so far. You'll see I have 4 paths coming off of the should we attack option. I've only filled out 2 of them because it took me a little bit of a while. And we have this weird error here I'm going to get into, but it should work when I do it. Let me show you what I have so far. So, we are plundering some ships, we're searching for ships, time passes, and you see a vessel arriving. It appears to be a rich merchant vessel, probably loaded with heavy cargo. Should we attack? Wait for another ship. Time passes. It appears to fly the Jolly Roger on its flag, a pirate ship possibly coming to port with loot. Should we attack? No, wait for another ship. Time passes. A vessel arriving, a rich merchant vessel. We've already seen this one. We're going to wait for another ship. Another merchant vessel. We've getting a lot of those. No, we're going to wait for another ship. Jolly Roger. No, wait for another ship. Captain, I see a vessel arriving. It appears to be hailing us as if it's in trouble. Should we attack? Yes, we should attack. With a cheer, the crew prepares to board the vessel and take their riches. Let's take this helpless ship down. The crew arms themselves and attack the ship, asking for assistance. Some would consider this a bad move. I mean, they are apparently helpless, but pirates have different moral compasses that always point to treasure. Ahar! They don't seem to be putting up much of a fight, Captain. Indeed, the 3 crew members on this small boat simply raise their hands in surrender as your crew takes the deck. All right, give us all your gold. What gold? Why are you attacking us? We need your help. The crew begins to question the morality of their actions, especially if there doesn't seem to be any gold about. Nonsense, you must have gold. We wouldn't help you for free now, would we, lads? In agreement, the crew murmurs affirmations. Well, we could just give them the Duke. The Duke? The crew is aflutter with whispers, wondering how rich this Duke is, what bounty they could get from him, and what lovely skills, silks, and jewels on his person they can nab. Where is he then? Let's take the sorry soul and lock him up. Most certainly, be our guests. They must not care for this Duke too much. They beckon towards the cabin, and the crew excitedly rushes to the hull. As the crew reaches the hull, they hear angry grunts and thuds coming from inside. That Duke must be pretty mad he's getting kidnapped, eh, Captain? A chuckle echoes the narrow passageway as the crew gets closer. Clearly forgetting the ship was signaling for help for whatever reason, we open up the hull. Swinging the door open, cutlasses drawn towards their new prisoner, the crew doesn't see a fat, rich duke like they expected. They see an angry bull brandishing his horn straight at them. Yipe! The bull is gracious to finally be let out of the ship's hull and repays the favor by charging at your crew. Ugh! Some crew members are gored by his horns. The lucky ones, including yourself, make it to the deck, with the bull in hot pursuit. Abandoned shipmen! Fearing for your lives, you and the crew dive into the waters of the ship. With a cruel twist of fate, the waters surrounding your vessels are teeming with ravenous sharks. Uh-oh. You and your crew are eaten, quite messily in fact, leaving no survivors to carry on your pirate legacy. You got the shark ending. Play again. Well, that was a lot of interesting new parts to the story. You're probably interested how I did the plundering some ships, searching for ships. You'll notice that this arrow is actually pointing in both directions to time passes and searching for ships. So you plunder some ships, you click on time passes, and it takes you to this passage, and it sets the ship type, the adventure opportunity for you, to a random number between 1 and 4. So you start with the same text, I see a vessel arriving, it appears, and then we check what ship type it is. If it's 1, it'll be a rich merchant vessel. 2, Jolly Roger on its flag. 3, be hailing us in trouble. Or if it's 4, a man-o'-war vessel, bristling with cannons itching for a fight. So you have to have all of this on the same line, because if not, it's going to come like at a return here or a return here. So I can't just simply set it down here and have it append to here. I need it all on the same line to have this work correctly. But it all ends with the same phrase, should we attack? And if no, wait for another ship, it'll take you back to searching for ships. That's what that double-headed arrow means, that it references that line can go backwards and forwards to those two passages. So, then it goes, should we attack? You decide to attack whatever ship you came across, and if it's a ship type of 4, we'll add the little cautious button in with a cautious cheer, because the man-o'-war does look pretty dangerous. The crew prepares to board the vessel and take the riches. And the ship type variable is saved through your entire Twine story. So even though it was defined in this passage, you can access it in the should we attack passage. And if it's ship type 1, it'll let you go down this link, this link, this link, and so on. Makes sense. And that's where it splits into the 4 paths here. So for the taking the helpless ship down, pretty normal stuff. Like, we're now attacking a helpless ship trying to hail us, wanting their gold. We demand their gold, give us the gold. And then the Duke, here, a new function has come up called click replace in parentheses. So what click replace does is that it makes a link out of whatever we define in these double quotes here. In this case, guests. The link is going to be right here in guests. So when you click that, it'll replace it with guests. They must not care for this Duke too much, and then the ellipses will follow. It'll put whatever's in the brackets right after that, right where guests is. So there are other ways to do it so that you don't have to type in guests, but I find click replace a very useful function, and you can just append whatever you want to say here. They must not care much for this Duke too much. So then you rush through the hole, open up the hole, and here's one of my favorite parts. Click like they expected, show cloaked. What on earth does that mean? Well, it's a lot like the click replace function, where you're finding the text like they expected, in this case right here, and you're making it a link. But what that link does has an event happen, and that event is in this function here, and it says show, parenthesis, cloaked. Now, cloaked is a hook, and a hook is a type of way of classifying a text as something. So in this case, I want to classify cloaked as this text is hidden. And to do that, you do the interesting notation of a straight line, which is right above your enter key if you hold shift. That's how you print a straight line. And then the name cloaked, and then an ending curled parenthesis. And then in the square brackets, you type whatever you want to show up. And in this case, we're going to have, this is the hook to this line of text here. And you'll notice that it's 2 returns under. Now this return doesn't count because it's just a function, but there will be a return of space right here underneath this. So that's how you're able to have something appear underneath it. And when you click it, it'll show cloaked. So it starts hidden, but when you show it, it'll appear. And also, we're going to have another return, and then the cloaked hook in front of yipe, which is a link to the next thing. Now, confusingly, creating this, it has a weird little error here. The arrow points to an X. It doesn't think that the yipe passage exists. But if the notation is correct, if you have one square bracket and then two square brackets for yipe, this is the link, yipe, and the passage is called yipe, and it's got the ending bracket, it should work going straight to yipe. But when Twine in the visual sense is trying to parse that, it just thinks that yipe doesn't exist. And I think that's just an issue with cloaking links, but don't worry. Even if you play it, you'll see, like they expected, it appears a return down, and this appears a return down from that. The yipe link still works. It'll take you to yipe. Abandoned shipman. And then you have another cloaked functionality where if you dive to the waters, it will activate the cloaked text here with a cruel twist of fate. Waters surrounding your vessels are teamed with ravenous sharks. And we have another cloaked thing. I'll show you that in a second. The same functionality happens, you click uh-oh, and another thing appears in the same passage. So to show you what I mean, this is in the Abandoned Shipmen passage. We have the click, the dive into the waters turns into a link to show cloaked, and this is classified as cloaked, these two things. This one doesn't have a return space, but it's the next line under. But this turns uh-oh into a link that'll show cloaked too. So this is another function, this is another classification, this is a new hook to add this second part to your thing. Notice I can call different passages the same thing, like cloaked, even though I already clicked the button that'll show the cloak up in opening up the hole. In Abandoning Ship, the cloaked starts hidden. So you don't have to worry about names going over passages. These names are temporary for the passage, at least for the hook. So the hook for these words is cloaked, and we created a new hook for the new part that shows up that's cloaked too. So that's how you can have dive into the waters. This shows up, click uh-oh. Now you have you and your crew are eaten quite messily, leaving no survivors. And that's how you get the shark ending. So that's nice. It's kind of like you're going to a new passage, but it's in the same passage, so you can have the text above. Like if you want to have a more dramatic like reveal to stuff, because I thought it was certainly dramatic. That's a nice way to click on something, words pop up on the same passage, and then you're able to format it a little easier. Because the way it was happening before, when you click on something, it would just replace it where it was. If you'll remember, like in click replace guests. So this click, just click uh-oh, show hook is simple. Hooks do look kind of confusing. It's weird to remember the straight line and then just the ending parenthesis, but it's really useful to make your stories just look that much cooler. Now you notice that this same ending is formatted into the other passage, so I'll just show you how that works now by going into the should we time passes. It's hailing us as if in trouble. I've already showed you that. We're going to wait for another ship. Captain, I see a vessel arriving. It appears to be a man-o'-war vessel, bristling with cannons, itching for a fight. Should we attack? Oh yeah. This is the other one that I did. With a cautious cheer, normally it would just say with a cheer, but because this is ship type 4, the cautious shows up. The crew prepares to board the vessel and take their riches. Let's take this man-o'-war down. The ship may look intimidating, but you're confident your crew can take it on. Avast! Prepare the cannons, men! The ship notes your hostile intentions and begins evasive maneuvers. Ready, aim, fire! Your cannons fire against the man-o'-war. Some pepper the hull, but it's reinforced and bounces off harmlessly. This doesn't look good, Captain. The ship opens its cannon bay windows and extends some menacing steel barrels leveled squarely at your ship. Their cannons are 10 times as powerful. We have to retreat. Aye, retreat, men. Are we cowards or are we pirates? Inspired by your words, the emboldened crew unleashes another volley into the man-o'-war. The floating fortress barely flinches from your barrage, and thunderous roars terrify your crew as blazing balls of fire are shot from the ship into your hull. We're on fire, Captain! Indeed, the lad's observation is accurate. Flames begin engulfing the starboard side of your ship, licking the heels of your terrified crew. Now this really isn't good, Captain. Your crew can no longer man the cannons. You have no choice but to attempt an escape. You begin steering your ship away from the man-o-war, but it demands revenge from being openly attacked. Another barrage incoming! More flaming ammunition hits you. The fire is blazing below decks with a minimal success putting it out. Soon the creeping flames will reach the powder room. With time running out, you can only think of one option. Abandon ship, men. Fearing for your lives, you and the crew dive into the waters of the ship. Off the ship. With a cruel twist of fate, the waters surrounding your vessels are teeming with ravenous sharks. Uh-oh. You know, this is kind of deja vu, because you got the same ending, the shark ending. Well, that stinks. But, hey, wasn't there an option a couple times ago to retreat? Let's try that. Retreat, man. Thankfully, a hasty retreat saves your ship from a barrage of flaming cannonballs from the man-o-war, as you barely scrape out of their range. We're saved! The ship continues on its course, you and your crew now heading the other direction. Let's keep an eye out for another ship to plunder, men. Time passes, and hey, now we're back in the finding a new ship phase, so isn't that interesting? Yes, you can see visually from this path, the man-o-war path, you'll see that fire, those two options to retreat. Retreat will take you back to the searching for ships option, right here. And if you continue down this way, you'll see that attempting an escape unfortunately leads in failure as you fear for your lives, dive into the waters, and are eaten by sharks. So this is very similar to this. Most of the same things occur, but the coolest part of this is that I have a double click append. I can click append the ready. So when you click on ready, it'll appear aim right next to it. This is the click append, by the way. I'm not sure if I defined what that was. Click append will add it right after what you have. So right after ready, ... it'll have a space, notice the space here, and then the aim, ... and the next click append sees that there's an aim there, and the aim ... to be precise, and will add a little space and then a fire tag. So click appends are a nice way to add like a word, click, syncopation to your story. And I think that really works nice for the ready, aim, and fire. And the fire is a link, of course, taking you to fire. Same stuff as before. Are we cowards or are we pirates? We're on fire. We attempt an escape. So the same things that you show, and that I've already shown you, that lead to the same ending, abandoning the ship. So there we go. Now we have a much more complicated story than what we worked on for the bounties, because now we have a little zone where you're searching for ships, going back and forth, a little loop there. In fact, this references a loop because you can go back and forth a bit repeatedly for as long as you possibly want. You could even have the time passes work so that it calls itself when you click on it. Like you can click on a link and the link is to the own passage it is. And if I want to do that here, instead of searching for ships, I could just reference time passes. And I'll show you what that means. Now you'll see a little circles right next to this. So now, when I play it, I can click wait for another ship, and then it pops itself up again. No, wait for another ship, wait for another ship, wait for another ship, wait for another ship. And it'll continuously generate random 1 in 4 chance. Oh, we're going to do the merchant vessel this time. So that is a cool way of doing it, and some people would prefer to just click on a thing and then have it pop up right there. But I felt like it was more dramatic to instead of go to time passes, go to searching for ships. I like the little time passes phrase that pops up when I do that. So, but of course, you make your own stories. You can define what you want. Oh, that's odd. This is split off in multiple things. So, yes, I really wish there was a way to refresh the graphical interface so there wouldn't be that ugly X there, but I guess that's just the price you pay for trying to add a hook in front of a link to another passage, but oh well. It works fine, and it looks great, and I'm glad I was able to bring you along for this adventure. So this is how I would do a more complicated, enjoyable story through Twine. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'm excited to talk to you in the next episode. We're going to make this look a little bit more interesting by, instead of just having it be a black text with some cool font, obviously, we're going to try to make it look more piratey and like you're reading it off of a scroll or a treasure map or something like that. And speaking of treasure map, we might try to put our own little images inside of Twine so we can have a nice visual element to our stories. So, see you then!